in that direction of where you want to take them. Keep you guided.
Why you gotta do me like that?
I got 3 more under the table, by the way. As you can see, they're still in the... And welcome to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hey.
We're home.
Finally.
Oh, I've missed this studio.
I have. I've missed my bed.
Yeah.
Many things.
Yes. A lot of...
I don't know if that tour life is for us, but
yeah, I don't know, but
we have some tours that we have to see through.
We have to get a tour bus and make it like
It's
our
true.
home.
True.
So we can tour and then we sleep on the bus.
There we
and
go.
it feels like home.
That's true. Good idea.
Yeah. Well, more on that in the life update. We got.
Yeah.
We'll explain why she sounds like that. Y'all know we went to APA and all
Sacramento
and all
and
the
all
things.
the
We'll
things.
talk about that in the life update. So stick around.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun one and probably a long life update because a lot's happened.
Yeah.
In the last
since the last episode, basically.
Right, since the last episode, but even more before that, 2
Right.
episodes ago. So this episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine. She is giving everybody 10% off. So if you're looking for jewelry blinks or findings, check her out. Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com. And the code is Riley Black.
All right.
And forgot to mention, patrons get a higher discount. So make sure to check up for that if you need it.
And I think Katie's going to go on tour with her comedy career soon because she's pretty funny. Again,
she's so funny.
More on that at the life update.
Yeah.
But today we have 2 guests.
2 guests.
Two for the price of 1. You get a BOGO on this one. So they're celebrating 1 year. They celebrate. I saw on Instagram.
Yes,
Instagram,
recently.
Facebook. I saw on one of the socials
One of
that
those
they
places.
celebrated 1 year with their storefront. But they've been
Yes.
in business since they started in 2021.
Yeah.
Originally, they planned to do wedding decor and signage, but as we all do, we never end up where we started.
Almost never
Yeah.
do you do what you think you're going to do.
Right. So one of them is a wedding photographer.
That's pretty cool.
Which I'll be talking to him. We'll bond on that. And then the other one has a background in marketing.
Nice.
Right? So, welcome, friends of the show. And we've actually met them in person before we had them on the show.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Jordan and Mikey of Curious Bison.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Hey, we're so excited to be here.
We're glad to have you.
Happy to have you, yeah.
So we met originally, in person, I would say, in Tulsa. We actually didn't get to go by your shop, but I'm kind of sad that we didn't.
List.
Yeah, because everyone was like just raving about how cute your guys' shop was and everything like that. So I'm glad to finally have you guys on the podcast.
Oh, for sure. I remember before we went to the conference, sorry if I'm spilling anything, but Mikey was like, these guys, we have to meet these guys. They're so cool. He told me your guys' whole backgrounds, the keychain thingies, all that. So I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing him.
I love it. I love when like people want to like meet us and then we always just like downplay it so much. Like Katie and Will and all them too, because like we're just like we're normal hot mess people. Yes. So like there's nothing intimidating about us because we're not famous. Like,
no,
you know what I mean?
We're not good famous.
Yeah, no. We're bad famous. Yeah. So you guys started with a Glowforge in 2021, but tell me before we get into your laser story, what were you doing before that?
I was working at Oklahoma State University as a marketing manager. I was a marketing manager for about 5 years and a graphic designer for about 5 years prior to that. So I was there working that corporate job for 10 years prior to starting this.
And then I have my wedding photography business. We did photo and video, and we did anywhere between like 40 to 50 weddings a year. So I was like, that was our full time. And I was like, you know what? I already have these clients. Let's go ahead and help them. Let's sell them all this extra stuff. They already have one connection. So we thought, we were like, oh, this is a whole lane for us.
Mm-hmm.
But we quickly learned that just because they know me doesn't mean they're going to give me any extra money than Etsy. And so when they're trying to charge $1 or $2 above material cost, I'm like, we cannot survive off that.
Right.
So we were like, what? We had to pivot somewhere. And then he told me, he was like, babe, I hate to say this, but weddings are your thing. Like, I kind of hate it. So can we pivot away?
Right.
So and I had to just listen to Mikey and just kind of go with that.
So when you bought your laser, then was it originally going to try and be an extension of the wedding part of your business? And then
so we came out with the name that was always like going to be a separate part of the business. But we were just like, it's just an easier way. We could, it's a cute little name, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yes, originally it was supposed to be like his clientele. I was going to do wedding shows with him, set up, and we did that for a little bit. Where it was just like tacking onto his business that he already had and getting those clients, because he had a lot of contacts in that wedding industry.
Things were like, we'll sell cake toppers to everybody.
Right.
We got this.
To be honest, what it was is he kept pushing and pushing for the Glowforge for like months. And I'm like, we don't need a laser. We don't need a laser. Like, I'm not doing that, because I've done screen printing and vinyl cutting and stuff in the past. And I'm like, we don't need a laser. I'm not doing that. And he just kept grinding away until eventually one night I was just like, fine, let's try.
Wearing you down. So you said you tried that angle, but you realized that your wedding photography customers weren't necessarily going to be your laser customers, right? And was that just like the pricing, or like, why do you think that was?
If they could find it on Etsy for cheaper, they were just going that direction. Or it's like, I didn't want to go back and forth a million times for a cake topper. It wasn't like for a $15 cake topper. I wasn't going to email someone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so we had limited selection of what we could have. And if it wasn't what they wanted, they were just going to go on Etsy.
Oh, especially if they can Google, country bride, groom with shotgun, those kind of like things, instead of us designing every single piece. Going back and forth. So we had to learn that was just not for us. We needed something that was, you could walk by, buy it, move on, kind of thing.
Yeah. And so then at what point did you shift? And then, like, because we know eventually you opened up the brick and mortar. How did you get from buying the Glowforge in 2021 to that point?
A big identity crisis right in the middle of all of that.
I understand that. From
the wedding to where we are now, it was constantly like, what are we then? What do we like to do? What are we going to sell? And we had this thing in downtown Tulsa. It's called the First Friday.
Our art crawl. On the First Friday.
And we would go, we'd set up a table, not even part of it. We'd set up a table outside of it, not as an official vendor. And our table was a hot mess. It was like earrings and this and that, and just trying a little bit of everything. So we had the branding, but we didn't have a
product line.
Yeah,
we just knew there's going to be, this is Tulsa art people. Let's just make Tulsa themed things, because that's who's going to be there. And then when those kind of things started to move, we were like, okay, what else would they like to buy?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then we added it, we kind of blended in what we're obsessed with too.
Yeah.
With like the national parks, maps and stuff like that. As you can see, we have Zion National Park behind us. So it's a blend of like my photography, the love of that, our love of traveling. So it's been, it's still a daily conversation of who are we? What's our lane? What can we add? All those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, we go through that too a lot of times. Like, what do we? And almost the same way. I have a video business, not as established as your photography business, because her business was more established at first before I started mine.
Yeah.
But we're always like, okay, so keychains, milestones. What's our lane? Podcasting, which is what we want to do, but at the same time, it's growing as well. The media stuff. So yeah, I completely understand you on that end. You're constantly trying to figure out your identity and stay within what you want to do.
Right. The Riley Black Project is sponsored by Cuddle.xyz.
Cuddle lets you instantly generate personalized SVGs. Just type in the name, choose your options, and click download SVG. It's that simple.
I make tons of keychains and small items that require welding, node editing, connecting dots on the eyes, and the most tedious step, adding score lines. But with Cuddle, you just type the names and you're done.
Just go to the website, cuddle.xyz.
And use our coupon code RileyBlack for 10% off your first month or year.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Well, and I think as creative people, we squirrel a lot. Because especially like if you're in the groups or and the groups get me all the time, like even sometimes like the Valentine boxes that everyone was doing for like, I was like, oh, those would be so cute. And I wonder if those would sell locally. And I'm like, no, you have a million other things going on. You do not need to try and sell $5, $10, like boxes for Valentine's Day and all that. Like it's really difficult because we technically can do so many things. It's hard not to do all of those things because really to make it profitable, like across the board, you kind of like, I know it's like controversial in a way, like, cause Stephanie, she doesn't really niche down. She doesn't think that you have to niche down. And I relate to that in a sense. But if you aren't strategic and purposeful in the things that you add to your business, it can kind of mean that none of them really grow because you're just all over the place.
Right. You're trying to nurture
for sure.
all
And
at once.
It's like I have the personality of I believe I'm delusional a little bit. So I'm the creative delusion where I think I can do everything we need to be doing all that, but Mikey's also lives, I think, in way too much reality. So he's our grounded one. But we always like, what is it that you say? Like,
it's kind of an ongoing joke. It's like if it was just my business and my business alone, which for a while it was like I would make all the things, but I would never get them sold. I would be too introverted. I would just be making them at the house. And if it was him, he'd be making here, this, that, and never have a lane. It would just be everything and more chasing like those files and stuff like that. And so it's like we definitely balance each other out when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's great. So you basically at those art shows where you kind of set up like outside of there, is that how you kind of figured out the local kind of stuff? And then
to an extent we were doing those, and then we were doing local like craft shows, and then there's a place in town called Mother Road Market. I'm not sure if you visited while you're in Tulsa, but it's like a food hall with like 15 different restaurants inside the food hall. And oddly enough, that's actually where we first met on our very first date. We did our very first pop-up with a business there. And then we had an opportunity to do a month-long pop-up. And that month-long pop-up is really what changed the trajectory of our business completely. That's when we realized, okay, here's the things that are selling. Even in that month, we added multiple products. People kept coming in and asking for stickers or keychains or whatever it may be. And we were like, we don't have them now, but come back in 3 days and I will have those for you. So it's like doing that and seeing that audience and learning that demographic is really what changed the trajectory of, okay, now this is our lane, this is our identity, this is who we're going to be moving forward.
And that was because Mother Road Market is it's where a lot of people on Route 66 go to travel. Or if you're in Tulsa, it is a tourist trap per se.
Okay.
So we learned, okay, people are needing their Tulsa souvenirs. So that's why we started making souvenirs, is because we're like, that's what they're literally in this building looking for. And instead of sending them down to this business, I'm going to put Route 66 on a keychain and sell it to them today.
Right.
So that's where we kind of learned like pivoting where it's successful kind of thing, listening to our audience constantly. Like, oh, I wish you had a cutting board of this. Oh, okay. I'm going to
say less
and get that cutting board,
Right.
Kind of
it's also something we can relate to that audience because we love to travel. That's like our favorite thing. And so it's like, where'd you come from? Oh, what are you here for? Talking about where they've traveled or national parks they visited, like making that connection makes people want to buy more. Like I see people like interested, and then we start talking to them, we start connecting with them, and most of the time then they'll end up buying from us.
So I know you were going to say something, I'll get to you, but my ADHD has to get it out.
You got to get it out.
But so with all of this, with all of this traveling, we've been trying to get stuff for our boys when we're out, right? And I wish that I knew more. we should almost do like when we do a meetup or something, have people bring something and like we purchase it.
Oh, right.
Or like,
right.
because when we were like at the airport and like, I mean, this time we got them their like souvenirs or present while we were out of town, literally from IKEA. But like when we're at the airport or we're in, you know, the hotels and stuff, the stuff that you can buy that's like themed to where you're at is like the kind of like cheap souvenirs, you know, and they're cheap, but they're expensive.
Or they're like cheesy ones.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like just like,
Yeah.
like not only like a keychain, but a keychain that just
Right.
like that says where it's from. It doesn't have any like personality of like of where it's from.
Yeah, like mass produced, you know, Vegas stuff, right? It would be awesome. Like I would much prefer to buy some souvenir or something for, you know, my mother-in-law and for the boys from like local makers rather than, you know, the stuff that you can get in the shops.
Sure. And
you know?
actually, like we're doing a pop-up with a company. They're having us do sunglasses and hats for them.
Nice.
But she's actually creating a vendor village outside of her conference because she's like, these people don't have time to leave the conference and go get their souvenirs. So she's letting us and another company sell souvenirs to them.
That's such a great idea.
Which is a good point because
genius.
At Next Level, we wanted to come. I personally
wanted to.
Wasn't it? It was close to like your grand opening, right? The timing was close to your opening, or
we had been. So that was in June, right? No. Yeah. So we'd opened in February. So we'd been open for a few months at that point.
For a few months, because I remember it was relatively from what I saw in the post, it was relatively new. So I was like, oh, I'd love to go, you know, because getting your storefront is a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh man, we should try to find some time, but I didn't know how far it was from, you know, from the hotel or anything like that, and we didn't have a car. Yeah. So I was like, man, I would love to get over there, but we were stuck.
We vended, and I taught,
and then we did the podcast.
It's like we went to bed at 3 a.m. every day and woke up at 7 a.m. every day.
We left one time to like get a breather, and it was like down the street to Whataburger.
Yeah.
To get lunch, and not even because just to take a breather, because it was so not in a bad way, just you kind of need that like reset a little bit.
It's destimulation for us. You just need that time to just be like silence, regathering your thoughts.
Right.
Yeah. Like when we were in Vegas this last time, I made almost zero plans while we were there because I knew like everyone was like, oh, talking about like going to shows and all these things, and I'm like, and I'm glad I didn't because I didn't plan on being sick.
Right.
And like I'm like I don't know how tired I'm gonna be that day. I don't know if I'm gonna want to go to dinner with anybody. I don't know if I, you know,
or what the day's gonna look like. Either, because it's like the one time that we were there, just to get a little bit into it, one of those days right after closing in the area, they were doing.
Oh, they had a party.
They had like a kind of a party. They had like music going and vendors and people still walking around, and we didn't know that was part of the plan. So had we made dinner plans because it closes at 4:30, you know, we would have been like, oh well, wait, there's some stragglers around. We need to get these extra dollars, and like, you know, and also network a little bit. So. So yeah, with the conferences, you never know like what to get. One thing I really wanted to go to your shop is I really like those glasses with the skyline or the like national, because I saw a few different ones. Who came up with that? Because that's a really cool idea.
So the funny thing is, he used to wear white glasses, and that was kind of his wedding brand. It was like everyone knew him as the guy with the white glasses. They were kind of bold. And we were on vacation in Florida, and I saw the reflection of like the sun and the palm trees and stuff in his glasses. And I'm like, stay still, I need to take a picture. I was like, that looks really cool. And I was like, we need to turn this into like some kind of product. So we took the total skyline and put it in his white glasses and started selling that. And that was one of our earliest projects, or like products that were Tulsa themed, and that's kind of again what kind of started rolling the ball on that, because people started liking that. We sold a lot of those at the art crawls downtown. It's
that artistic-y, you know, product that community just ate up.
Yeah, and also a very like a very unique like souvenir piece. Because it's like, it's not your normal, like I'm not one to like buy souvenirs for myself, like magnets or anything like that. But that piece, I'm like, oh, that would be cool with, just a Tulsa, because that's where your shop is. That's where we were at the conference. That was a cool piece to have as a souvenir.
Yeah.
But also like an art piece to hang on the walls. Like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, well, that one time. And it has a story behind it, and it's really unique and really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Are you tired of endlessly joining jump rings?
There's gotta be an easier way.
Are your wrists aching after numerous orders? Introducing Keychain Thingies, the time-saving solution for anyone making keychains.
It's so fast and easy.
These revolutionary plastic thingies make large or multiple orders a snap. So easy, even a child can do it.
That was so easy.
So what are you waiting for? Go to keychainthingies.com and order now. Keychain Thingies will change your life. However, they should not be used to cure any medical ailments, repair broken relationships, or help lose weight. Do not use Keychain Thingies unless you want to save time and aggravation.
Like you said, it's not that we've been to up to Seattle and Alaska and Colorado, and they have the same shirts, but they just say a different name underneath it. And so it's like, you could have got that anywhere, any mountain town, and they just throw your name on it. So it is something that separates us, is that we're local and we make that, and it is tied just to Tulsa. It's not just a skyline that you could go to Seattle and buy. It is the Tulsa skyline.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you guys choose what is going to be in your shop? So I know partially, obviously, if a customer asks for it, then you go, researching and you start to add that. But how do you not how do you reel him in, basically? How do you not add everything?
So that's the thing, is he is always like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try that. And used to, I was like, no one's going to buy that. No one's going to buy it. Then I've learned I've got to stop doing that, because a lot of times people do buy that. What I usually do, if it's like a low buy-in, I'm like, okay, well, you just buy a couple sets of blanks and we'll just throw some stuff on there, see how it goes. And I usually end up eating my words, because I'm like, nobody wants that. Nobody's going to buy that. No one's going to pay that price for that.
Right.
And I'm usually wrong. So
can you think of any examples of those off the top of your head?
The bamboo sunglasses.
So yeah, we have bamboo sunglasses that we order blanks in. And I was just walking through a gas station and saw a guy with wooden sunglasses. And I was like, I bet I could engrave on a pair of those. So little behold, I start researching where can I find blanks of these kind of things. And then we just unassemble them, put them in our F1, and we engrave on the sides of them, assemble them back. And so, yeah, they've been selling them. We engraved the skyline on one side and put Tulsa on the other. We have just a pair that says Oklahoma, that people that don't want Tulsa specific things, they're looking for Oklahoma. And then a Route 66 pair.
Nice.
Just because we're on Route 66, and we've learned that's a whole crowd for us, especially in the summers. We get a lot of our foreign traffic, like people from Germany, New Zealand, all the time coming in. And one thing that I love about those crowds is once they they'll find one keychain, love it, and then they find out I can engrave someone's name on the back, and now they want 16, and they're giving me all their family names, and they're like, I could not find this at a gas station. I'm so glad you can put Gustav on a keychain for me right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's so cool.
It's awesome. So you you started with the Glowforge, and you mentioned the F1. How many machines? What are you guys using now?
We have a Mirror 9 at home, and then we have the F1 and an F1 Ultra up at the store.
Nice.
And
we had a 50-watt fiber, but we sold that.
So with the Mirror 9 at home, how do you balance the shop and making things for the shop?
So it used to really kind of honestly, it was taking over our life. Our whole living room was assembly room. There was shelving. And once we got the store, it kind of put a little bit of business storage up there. And we actually said we wanted to have our evenings back kind of thing. So we made a living room again. His office kind of contains the rest of the business. And we've kind of have a 6:30 deadline of, okay, no more business kind of thing. Doesn't mean we still go on the couch and brainstorm, but we're at least not working in the business. We work on it maybe, or just kind of having our time.
Right.
Yeah. So for the most part, it's when the last year he's been busy with his photography business. So he would work the shop and he would edit videos and photos while he was up at the shop during the daytime.
Okay.
I would be at home doing the production on the 9. It's kind of like you two, where he doesn't touch the 9. He he does the stuff up there on the Ultra and the F1. We're going to change that a little bit, where I'm going to start teaching him how to use the mirror a little bit more. But up until now, I've been at home doing the production of the bigger stuff, and he does the blanks up at the store on the Ultra or the F1.
And so do you use the F1 and the Ultra mostly for like on the spot engraving?
A big part for the F1 we do keychains and put names on like ornaments or the travel maps. The Ultra, we do like our coasters, keychains, like the main design, batch them out, hat clips.
Yeah, it's mainly batching is what we've been kind of doing on that one. So instead of just doing like, one keychain, we can do 12 at a time. Right. So that way I can put our main front design on that side. And so that one can constantly be batching out stuff. And then we have our regular F1 that's doing maybe the name personalization for the small 1 or 2 items that they're getting kind of thing. Well, so it's like, that one's making the blanks for the store to purchase, and then the F1 does the last minute personalization.
Yeah, the Ultra came with the fiber used to do for us.
Correct. Yeah, that's why we got rid of the fiber, was to get rid of work out of the house, and we could do downtime of work out of there, and it was in a shielded, protected coverage from customers seeing it.
Yeah. So how do you guys do staffing? So you're closed on Mondays, and that's why we have you here today.
You're looking at staffing or calling my mom.
Okay. So what are your I guess your shop hours, and like how does that work?
So it's 11 to 6 on Tuesday through Saturday, and then on Sunday we're open 11 to 2, just a few hours.
Okay.
But we kind of work 3 and 3 days each.
Okay.
Kind of taking Monday to work on the business, or just kind of hanging out together, taking an actual day off sometimes.
Right.
But for the most part, we just kind of split it up depending on if I have a photo shoot or a wedding, or vice versa, just kind of life events, each other covering kind of thing. Or if he's got, like, say if we have a big show and he has been the main production person, I'll be working a lot at the store to where he's at home constantly batching on the big laser.
Yeah.
Nice. And we do eventually plan on hiring an employee, but I'm a control freak. So
same.
It's going to be hard to like give that personality up to somebody else. They're not going to talk about the products like we do. They're not going to know how to answer questions like we do. So I'm very resistant. And honestly, that's one reason I left my corporate job. I didn't like managing. It was not fun. I became a marketing manager. I had people underneath me. I didn't like managing people. So I keep pushing it off. Like, it'll happen. Eventually we'll hire people. But to be honest, it hasn't been bad. It's kind of nice because like he says, we can work while we're up there. I can do admin work on the computer while I'm there when we're slow. Right. Or just meeting people and talking to them. Like I said earlier, once we get talking to them, a lot of times that's what sells the stuff. They realize we make it. We have a screen up there showing a lot of the process, and we can walk them through that.
Yeah, that's
and on the opposite side of the spectrum, I want to buy the building across the street and have a whole production warehouse, where we supplied every souvenir store in the world. So again, opposite side, delusional versus what's reality of managing people.
It's very much like looking in the mirror.
It is
because she's very much like, here maybe we'll get a shed for the studio, this and that, and I'm more like, we have a vacant lot next door, and we know that the owner is our back neighbor, and I was like, maybe I'll just knock on his door and ask him how much he wants for that land. Yeah. So we can put our a big shed and move everything in there and have like the house, because when, much like you guys set the 6:30 time limit that you're out of work to get things, and the shop to get some things out of the house and out of the living room. When we moved here to this house, we put everything in the garage with that idea as well. Obviously, things always bleed over, especially when new inventory comes in. It always takes, I feel like it takes forever to get back in here.
Yeah.
Like when we were packing and like prepping for Vegas and Sacramento, our living room still has a 6-foot table that we're like mocking, but it still has a bunch of stuff on there that I'm gonna try this week somehow to get back in here.
I said that too.
She said,
he makes it sound like we have it under control, but September through December, our whole kitchen is.
Yeah, I get it.
We strive for separation, but that doesn't mean we achieve it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's very much like looking in the mirror, because we're very similar in that. Like,
yeah. When I've thrown around, when we think about having something, so we're in a 2-car garage right now and we're busting at the seams as it is. And we have, dreams for more, but there's only, so much space. And so, we're tossing around the idea of like a shed in the back and then expanding this. But then I'm like, okay, well, that's only so big, right? We're thinking like a 10 by 20. And I know how quickly we may grow out of both of the extra space, even if we expand here. And it's hard to be like, and I see like warehouses or shop fronts, storefronts go up for rent all the time. And I'm always like, it's tempting. And he was like, oh, but I don't want to run like the storefront. And I'm like, but we can have our own hours. Like we could work,
right, yeah.
10 to 4 if that's what we want to work or whatever. But it's he's always reeling me in, and we're having to figure out what our ultimate goal is,
right. Right. And again, also with the focus of the identity of, I like to call it just Riley Black, because it's, Riley Black designs, creations, media. Podcast.
Yeah.
So it's just the Riley Black umbrella. I'm curious to find out, talking about how we're like, rent a space. You guys are talking about buying, you want to buy a space. Your space now, did that come because it was a great a great deal and a great opportunity, or was that something that you guys were like seeking out? How did the shop come about?
We were definitely not seeking that out. No intention whatsoever of having a brick and mortar.
Yeah, we like the pop-up life. We like to vacation. So when we realized having a storefront meant we are location locked, until we can afford staffing. And then once you afford staffing, then you have to pay all the extra insurances and all these other things. So we were just like, it was just like, no.
It was just an opportunity that came up that was like golden plate, could not pass it up. I mean, even then it was still a hard decision. It was a bunch of back and forth of like, do we do this? Can we commit to 3 years of doing this?
And we said, if you had to make this decision without the other person, what would you say right in a second? And we both said yes. So that's when we said, okay, now let's commit.
I like that. We got to steal that.
No, because we would have ended up with an empty shed out back. Because we came across during the holidays.
Oh man, that was so hard.
There was a sale on a shed, and it wasn't exactly how we wanted. So I contacted them and asked them a few questions. They're like, "Oh, we could totally make it for how you want it." And I'm like, "Well, will that still fall under?" Because I wasn't sure if the sale was to move inventory that they have to make room for new sheds, or if that was across. They're like, "No, we'll honor the deal." And it's like,
it was like half price.
But we eventually talked ourselves out of it because we can afford the shed, but we can't afford to move everything into there because we have to
finish it because we'd have to drywall it, electrical.
Right.
Yeah.
So we ended up with that being our goal, and hopefully they run a similar sale next year for us to do. But yeah, if we went with that, we'd have a shed out back just sitting there because we both were like,
okay, it's good step number 1 for us, maybe. Yes. And then we follow
it up.
We've
been there a couple times too. We almost bought a UV printer last year. We were like, okay, if we rent a U-Haul, we can go up to Kansas. We can get there. And if you would ask us that day, we probably would have both said yes. But after days of like, okay, what would we actually make out of it? Do we have time to add something? And it started to be like, okay, maybe not.
And I was the one who really wanted it. So I was using everything to my resource. I was like using AI. I was like, list out 100 products that I could make with the UV printer that worked in our store. And it was listing out everything. So I was like, look at everything we could make.
Right.
Yeah,
so
really
that just overwhelmed me though. So it had the opposite effect.
Right.
Before we get into
the maintenance of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the big.
That's what
big
holds
issue.
us back too.
But before getting into the AI, like you mentioned, because there's something behind that AI.
Yeah.
Are you still in the market for a UV printer? Because we have some listeners and some viewers that are in the UV business that would love to sell.
Right.
It's something that it would have to be like we have employees first and have more time for production. I don't want to add any more production time right now to anything.
Yeah, we need something small. Like we're honestly just being transparent. One thing we're looking at is, so we have a sublimation printer and we make our tote bags and stuff like that. But we're maybe interested in DTF printing with, especially with Xtool kind of pushing their new machine with their all-in-one baker system. It's like, that's kind of interesting. So it's like, but we got to figure out how that will fit into the brand and the profitability. How long is it going to take to pay off? because that's why we did sublimation, is it was a lot lower buy-in. I could prove my concept about tote bags to him quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, those things.
Yeah.
And we are both. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the UV printer. We've been like tossing that out and this and that. And while in Vegas, PDS was like right corner shot, and I was talking with Steve and some of the guys over there, because my biggest thing is the maintenance as well. Yeah. And they talked a pretty good game. It's not as
yeah. So it's like it's a couple minutes, like, you know, every few days, or like at the end of the day, or like at the end of the week. But the fact is that as soon as you get it, and as soon as you turn it on and get going, like you like, even though the maintenance part isn't like as crazy as a lot of people kind of like lead on to it, right? The ink still has an expiration date, right?
That would be
as soon as you install the ink, okay, fine, maybe there's not a ton of like maintenance. It's only a couple minutes, like at the end of the day or at the end of the week or whatever. But like that ink is expensive, and that ink is going to expire in a couple months. And so if you don't have like planned jobs or, you know, reasons to use that ink, you're just going to waste it. And then now it's not a benefit to your business. It's more like a burden to your business. And so because it's like the new shiny thing that's distracting me right now, I'm like, I have several friends, thankfully, who already have a UV printer. And I'm like, let me work on wholesaling some of my ideas through them. And then if I really see that this stuff is selling well and doing well, then we can explore if that's something that we want to add, you know, to our shop.
Justify it, yeah.
Right.
Sure. 100%. That's something we've talked about too. You're just talking about the shiny new thing, and that is us to a T. It's like anything that's like, ooh, new piece of tech, you know, I love that. That's how the laser came about in the first place. But honestly, after Glowforge, the laser, that's how it came into place. It's like a new shiny tech.
Oh, right.
That literally, it was glowing. I was like, look at
it literally was glowing, right?
2020 marketing. I don't trust any of these companies.
Oh my God, it's so true.
It can go right in the middle of your kitchen, and it doesn't need vented, and you can do food, and you can do wood.
Right.
So I don't trust any of them anymore until I talk to someone who has it.
It's so true. That's a great point. Anytime we're distracted by any of the new shiny tools, we all of us original Glowforge owners just really need to think back to how Glowforge got us then, and how it did. Like, I think for a lot of us, it completely changed our lives and our businesses, right? But there's so much we did. Excuse me. There's so much we didn't know when we purchased that machine. Like, I didn't know I had to clean it. I didn't know I had to vent it. I didn't know I had to do any of these things. And I highly underestimated, like, okay, sure, it was like $4,000 for the one that I got. And like, okay, yes, I need to have space for that. But I didn't plan on all the space I needed for all the different materials, the glue, the like paint, that everything that came with it, like, was like, sure, you can put the Glowforge in your kitchen, but where are you going to put the wood, the acrylic, the glue, the, you know,
other things.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
So what do you see, like, I guess, so you have a 3-year lease, you said, right? Basically, I heard you say something about 3 years. Yeah. And so, like, what are your goals for 2025, you know, with the brick and mortar and all that kind of stuff?
I'm glad you asked 2025 and not like 3 years down the road. Because
none of us know, right?
For a while, we were moving to Colorado and then possibly Eureka Springs, and we're going to build out different stores here. It changes all the time.
Right.
Or 2025, do you want to talk about like the shows that are the pop-up live experiences?
Oh, yeah. So, one thing we've been really pushing, and it was a business that kind of suggested it to us, that's now become a whole lane for us, is essentially parties a little bit. But kind of like for corporate events, we just have them pre-buy a certain amount of product, and we can put their logo on it ahead of time. Then we just show up and do the last minute, let me throw Mrs. Robinson on here, you know, the Smith family, all that. And we do that in front of them, and they love watching the F1 engrave it, you know, right there in front of them. So they feel like that's their experience. So we call it an experience event. You know, kind of thing. And so corporates, they're loving it because it's new. They feel like they get to leave with something personalized.
We bought these little Bison hats that have like horns and
nice. I love it. So tell me more about that, because those parties intrigue me, but something my anxiety tells me is, so the F1 is a little slow and the F1 Ultra is a little big. When you pre-sell these, like, how do you know? Okay, and here's another example. So we went to the podcast conference in January, right? And we like lit up when we came around the corner, and Buzzsprout, which is the host for our podcast, they like send our feed out to all the podcast apps. They had an F1 at their table, and we were like all excited because, you know, we're not like, usually the podcast conference, no one knows what lasers are. And so to literally see a laser on their table, we were like, oh. And so, and it was a really cool draw, but there was a long line because he was engraving,
the name, the logo
on the front of a leather keychain, leatherette keychain, and then a QR code, which took them to their podcast, feed on the back. And so, it didn't take long. It was like, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute tops of engraving, but it was both sides, and he had to like upload your logo. He had to look up your podcast and like create the QR code. So it took him like 5 minutes per person. And so there was a long line. Like, how do you manage that in those in-person events?
Do you want to talk about it?
It's like, so what we try and do, like on the last one, is we had them, like I said, pre-buy a certain amount. We put on like their logo on like the trays, and what was the other thing? Cutting boards, and then something else, shot glasses that we did. And what we kind of told them, whatever people don't put their name on kind of thing, we just give it to them as the extra inventory. But we try and limit the engraving to a very small thing, kind of like that 30-second thing. Okay. And Mikey's really good about our file setup times have to be like 30 seconds. Okay. We cannot have that like, long design time. Right. That's amazing when you come into our store and I have time to sit down and do that extra 5-10 minutes with them. Right. But at a show, kind of like the next one we're doing, we're having them like fill out a card, and then they go to their conference classes, and we're doing the engraving during the conference. Nice. That way, when they come back, their products are done. Nice. So that way they also hit up that booth twice too.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a form they fill out and leave with us. And you can watch somebody's get done, but you might not be watching yours get done because you'll come back later and pick yours up. And a lot of it is like corporate events where they have food and they have other stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So we're just like the experience as part of that. It's not really a line that we've had show up. But also, like he said, it's just stuff that we can do fast. It's like we're going to put a name on it, so we just have to type that out. We don't have to have them send us our logo or anything like that.
And so what would a package, I guess, look like? How many hours, and like what do where do you limit that? Because like if it's a large, I guess a large party, like how do you make sure that you have enough time if like every single person wants one or something like that?
And that's still something we're kind of trying to figure out. We're actually doing a conference coming up where there's 300 people, but it's across multiple days. And so we're doing the voucher system where they'll get the vouchers, bring them to us. And like you said, while they're in the conference, we work on them and tell them they can come pick it up. Yeah. As far as details of like, if it's a party and everyone needs them at that party, that's still something we will have to figure out as we do it. But honestly, it's like, we would just, the more people there are, the more money that we can make from it. So it's like, I don't mind doing the more work up front or spending more time there or whatever it is. It really just depends. Just like everything we do, it's like a return on investment, cost analysis type thing. It's like.
That's awesome. So how do you find those businesses? Do they find you after like seeing other experiences, or do you reach out to these companies and like kind of pitch it as an idea?
So both. Like one of them has been our next door neighbor, which is the Visit Center for Tulsa. So that's been a good experience for us, kind of thing. And then they told another friend because they thought it was the coolest thing they did for their people. And so then they called us. And what's really funny is I almost didn't answer the call because I thought it was spam. Because the guy's like, I'm looking for activation. What activation can you do for me? And I'm like, what is this term activation? This just seems scammy. And Mikey's like, no, this is legit. They want to come buy a whole bunch. Like,
yeah.
So, and then we had to do a voucher system with them because they had 45 people hit me within a 10-minute period.
Wow.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that one was a little insane.
And that's something we actually brainstormed on a little bit last week, where what our roles are going to be moving forward with growing that. He is the people person. I'm not. I'm the introvert. So I'm not going to go make cold calls or show up at someone's business that is not I can't do that.
Yeah.
They are literally us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to like talk to any of the people, or like I kind of want him to be the icebreaker and then I'll jump in. Because a lot of times I'm the one who like knows the details or the facts, but he's the one who's not scared of rejection. He's not scared to walk up to somebody and like ask them something.
That's us. So I've had to learn, I can give them the amazing, hello, this is us. But anytime they ask me a question, I'm like, before I commit to that, let me talk to Mikey.
Yeah.
Because he knows the actual details it takes to make that happen. And I'm like, yes, we'll do it.
Well, that's what'll break my anxiety. I'm very anxious and I don't like talking to people either. But if he starts talking wrong about something, I'm like, no.
Right. Like, no.
Yeah, we could totally do 15.
Get me, no.
No, we can't. Oh, okay. I guess we
also,
can't
sometimes we means.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, he's the one who actually has to make it all.
For
that's
sure.
how it is for us speaking at the next level laser content. I was like, we can say yes, but you're going to be talking. I will be supplementing your talking. Like, so
See our talk. I am just the voice. Everything I'm saying though came from
that's
him.
not completely true.
I love it. Well, so I was actually going to ask about that.
Right.
So congratulations on joining Next Level family this year. So you guys are actually are you doing a class or are you doing a talk?
I think
A class. We're
We're
going to be
teaching twice. I think is that what we're doing.
Okay. And what is it on?
ChatGPT and how we use it for our business.
Nice.
AI in general, but it's going to be more focused towards ChatGPT.
I love that.
Nice.
Well, I think we should talk about some of that on the paid portion without giving too much of your talk away. We want them to still.
Right. We'll have our paid members
Love
get
that.
Yeah, we've just recently. We both use ChatGPT and we both recently just upgraded to like the paid version because we were using it so much.
Ran out of date.
So we're always looking for like ideas of ways that you can use it that like we haven't even thought about. But the question, I remembered it.
I was about to
You
pivot.
remembered it?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the perfect time for you to ask your question in case you moved on to something else.
The question that I ask, at least I try to at least every episode, what is one tool, mindset, or skill that you have attained in your business that has made a large impact?
And I think that tool recently absolutely is ChatGPT. It's having a whole, I used to work in marketing. It's having a whole marketing team underneath me that I don't have to worry about their feelings.
Right.
It's just whatever I tell it, it does it. And if I don't like it, I can tell it that without being like, am I going to hurt its feelings by telling it, no, that was a shitty idea.
Right.
So absolutely. It's a computer that can be our employees on a certain level. Like it's not replacing anybody because it's not employees we would have otherwise.
Right.
But it is a tool that has absolutely changed the way we talk to our customers, the voice we use on social media.
Same.
And just the way we
honestly, it took my job from John when he started his job. I was his ChatGPT because when he first started doing Riley Black Media,
I would have her proofread
and
my
he
emails.
would like interact with customers. It was always so dry and like, you know, every sentence ended in a period and like they, you know, say something and he'd be like thank you.
Proper
very
punctuation.
and I was like, show some emotion, show that you really appreciate that they reached out. And so him using ChatGPT does that for me now, and I don't have to like, you know, be the overlooker of every customer interaction that he would have and that kind of stuff.
It puts a friendly filter on my communication.
Yes.
Where I'm like, what are you thinking? It's like, thank you for reaching out. I'm sorry that you're having a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
The main thing is when people think we are USPS and they're like mad at, like we've had people tell us like, you need to push it through the system faster.
Right.
It's
God, that
MSP,
reminds me.
Like,
I have a missing mail package that I have to address this week.
Just don't blame the company.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You just said how ChatGPT doesn't replace like employees that you would have hired or whatever, which had me thinking, with your marketing background and your video and photography background, how much does your background play into your business now? Because obviously with a marketing background, you must have all these tools under your belt.
1000%. And I don't think we would be where we are today without both of our backgrounds being what they are, because like we talked about earlier, that identity crisis we had, it's like, you want to be a brand. You want someone to be like, oh, I bought from them last time I saw them. There are so many people like, I saw you at this place. I saw you at this place.
Right.
And it's the brand, it's the glasses, it's the Bison, it's how we present ourselves. And a lot of that comes from my marketing background, or a lot of the later photos look and stuff like that comes from his background. And it's all about a cohesive brand where they can remember us.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that comes from both of our backgrounds.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's like I did product photography for a long time right before wedding photography, so that's where I kind of like understood lighting, what sells, what gets attention. But I am not above photo room. I love photo room. I use it on a daily. That thing has helped I love it because I'm building a lifestyle look with our brand on there right now versus just these flat, but it has the flat white look for the website, but then I need to add that warmth and life and touch, and that's what we're trying to do right now by adding lifestyle.
Nice.
At the same time, though, I will say both of our backgrounds being in creative, there was some pushback too, because it's like, no, I want to be the creative. It's just my idea. This is my idea, and
we both know best.
And it's it's something we've learned over the past 3 or 4 years of like where to pull and where to give, and we've set up. Here's his roles and here's my roles, and he has the final say so over these things, and I have the final say so over those things, and that's really helped us because we're both creative. And we both have these backgrounds where we have this knowledge. We're like, oh no, I know best in this situation. Right. And so it's been a blessing, but it's been a challenge as well. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I will say your logo and the name and all of that, it really is, it is a good complete brand. And I could see like it would make me curious and want to go in and like see what you guys have for sure.
And that's the thing we learned. We actually talked about this morning. The difference from when we were a pop-up is people were walking by us ready to like interested in buying. Now that we're a retail store, we have to make them curious to even walk in our door.
Right.
Like that's a whole different mindset we have to do. And we learned that really quick too. We had to pay for, big vinyls on our door. So when people are walking by from a way distance in the parking lot, they're like, curious Bison, what are they?
Right. Yeah.
And then they walk in there and they're like, what makes the Bison curious? Like we hear it all the time. You have to play along with it. Or they think we sell Bison meat. And that's, we might in the future with our identity crisis.
Right? You never know.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because as a pop-up, there's also that it is a pop-up, so it's like limited.
Right.
Whereas a storefront, they know, oh, well, I'll go in there like next time I'm around here instead of I have to go this time because they might not come to the next one.
Right.
So that is a challenge.
I have more questions on the pop-up part too. Mm-hmm. So
there's a pop-up part too?
Squirrel away.
No, they're pop-ups in the paid portion.
Yes. So let's give everyone a chance to find you. Where can, aside from obviously your location in Tulsa, and you can feel free to give out the address too, so if anyone's in the Oklahoma area, but where can people find you?
We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right next to Mother Road Market. Like I said, definitely if you're in town, stop by. They have 12 local food vendors, so you're definitely going to get local Tulsa food, and we're known for food here. So we'll hook you up on that, tell you where to go. But definitely our website is a way you can check out our brand, kind of like what we're selling, our cohesive look at thecuriousbison.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and looking to expand to other platforms soon too.
Awesome.
So you guys hang out there. We'll get into some other stuff on the paid version, Patreon, which is now a great time for you guys to join Patreon. Only $6 gets you this extended version, ad-free, 10 days before everybody else. A lot of perks over there on Patreon.
All the benefits.
But for now, that'll do it for this portion. Life updates coming up next. And we're back.
Hey.
Back from the break,
and
back
the
from
paid portion,
traveling,
and
back from it all.
So,
man,
if you're not a patron member, that like extended episode portion. So we never have a plan of what we're gonna talk about on the extended portion. So please know that like when we go into the extended portion, we're not like purposely being like,
saving
we're gonna like cut this out and we're gonna hold this little nugget from them and like like make you convert. No. But this one, I feel like this was a really good one. We talked about a lot of like good stuff in that extended version, that like the extended episode
like,
that we just can't fit into the main, there's only so much time.
That's where conversation went.
Yeah. So if you aren't already converted, I feel like this was one of those episodes. Hey, and Patreon actually has.
This is what I'm gonna do. Give you a sneak peek. Just do the like free month.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah,
It's a free week.
A free week. Oh, sorry. Do a free week.
Patreon now has a feature where you can preview the membership for a week before you actually sign up. Do that for this episode because I feel like that extended episode, the extended version of it was a good conversation for sure. And they were just a fun guest to have on.
Yeah, I knew it because they were fun at the little bit that I saw them at Next Level.
Right.
In Tulsa, in their backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of travel, and
oh my gosh,
we just got back.
Yeah.
From
Sacramento. He keeps calling it sack, which
from the freezer.
I'm like fall sack.
From the freezer. That Will has.
The freezer. I think his freezer lowered all of our immune systems. And
listen, I think I'm the only guy that didn't get sick from all of that.
So I feel bad because like I don't know who got me sick.
Right.
But there were several people around me who got sick, and I don't know like if it was me or if we all got sick from the same person.
Right.
But I feel bad because like if I did get anybody sick, especially at Sacramento or an APA, like I feel terrible because what I have, I wouldn't wish on anybody. It really, really
But it's
sucked.
literally going around because
it's going around everywhere.
Everybody left, at least APA, everyone left sick.
Yeah. Well, and we were actually talking to the Curious Bison when we had them on. They said they've been slower the last few weeks, and they think it's because there's so much going on. There's so much going around, and they're actually kind of glad that it's a little slower, and they hope that like no one brings it into the store, you know?
For sure.
So yeah, Sacramento was awesome. Will showed us a good time
Yes,
with the sign at the airport.
Showed up. Thank you for coming out.
Yes, we appreciate. Even if you got us sick, I'll give you a pass. But everyone who came there, most people drove over an hour, if not 2+ hours, to come see us, and that's just it's crazy to me that someone would want to drive that far to see us, honestly. And yeah, we spent some good time with Bree and Albert. They're still unfortunately going through the germs, and I hope that they feel better soon.
We crashed Will's live.
We did. We went back and we crashed Will's live. He dropped us off, and then we're all sitting in the hotel room, and it says Will's live, and we're like, "What the hell?" So then we were just literally sitting there watching his lives, and we're like, "Why don't we just go crash his live?" And then Monday, after that, we headed to Vegas, and I started to feel the comings on of some germs, but I was in denial. I was still in denial point where I was like, oh, I'm just tired.
Right. It's been a lot of traveling.
It's been a lot of traveling. I'm just tired. And then Tuesday morning when I woke up and it was time to set up the table, it was very clear that I was not just tired. And so I, did a Instacart, and I sent all the things that I could to help me make it through. And, the guys at the show, they felt for us because, if you've ever done trade shows and stuff like that, we spent a lot of money to go to APA, if we're being honest. Yeah. And so it's not really like just an option that you can just forfeit and not go. So you kind of have to put your brave face on and do the best. And I tried as much as I could to, someone would come up and try to shake my hand or, give me a hug, and I'd be like, oh, I'm sick. I'd try to like warn them. And then
that's
Mindy,
hard because you're just seeing everyone, you haven't seen them in so long.
It's just such an abrupt
skirt.
Like, because like people coming up and they're all excited to like see you and meet you, and you're like, back up. I got the germs. I got the, I got the ick. And Mindy, I thought she knew. She gave me shit for giving her a hug. I thought she knew because we were talking about it in the group chat, and apparently she hadn't seen it in the group chat. And so she gave me a hug, and she was like, you're sick. And she's like, what the fuck? You let me hug you? And I'm like, sorry, I thought you knew. I thought you just liked living on the edge. But so thankfully Tuesday was the worst day during setup day. There was a lot of times where I was literally just like sitting there trying to muster up, the energy to keep it going. But we pushed it through. I think our booth looked great.
Yeah, looked really good.
We got to meet a ton of new people. We have
stood out.
We have some connections that we have
Yep.
to follow up on and nourish and see if we can grow them into something else. You know, there was people who had never heard of us and were really intrigued of, you know, what keychain thingies were. Wednesday, Katie and Melody bullied us into
So Tuesday, backstory. Tuesday, you were so sick.
I went to bed at 7
We were up in
p.m.
the room at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was so antsy. I was like,
he was ready to go do
Vegas.
all the things.
I didn't want to do all the things, but I didn't want to be up in my hotel room in Las Vegas at 7 p.m.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
at least and I was like, but she's sick. And she's gonna get mad if I leave.
I would have.
And then she like started falling asleep, and I'm like, man, I'll just go down in the hotel. I'll stay here. I'll just go downstairs and see what's going on. And then I saw Liz posted that they were all like at the little bar downstairs, and I was gonna go there. But for me, setting up aggravated my sciatica, and I had like this bad like pain like the whole time. I couldn't find a spot that didn't
was comfortable.
hurt.
Yeah.
I had to find one that hurt less.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I should stay in tonight.
Yeah.
And I did. So the next day, they were talking about going out, and I was like, you can stay if you're not feeling well. You can stay. I'm going though. I stayed last night.
Yeah.
I'm going out, but I'm glad they bullied you.
They bullied me into coming.
And I bullied you too because I told you I was just gonna go.
Yeah.
And you couldn't stand the FOMO if I go and have a great time.
No.
And I'm in all the pictures and you're not. So
yeah.
But it was really fun. They said they were gonna go clubbing from the rip.
They did?
Yeah, they said that they were gonna go to I keep saying it's at the Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
Marquee. Mm-hmm. So they had said that they were doing like girls' night at the Marquee.
Oh right,
the whole,
yeah.
the
And they were trying to get me
right. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm safe. That's girls' night. You can go if you want, but
Yeah.
I know you're probably feeling sick and not gonna go.
Right.
And then they looked it up and like, oh, guys get in free before or whatever as well.
Yeah, after 10:30.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I don't want to go. I didn't want to go clubbing. I wanted to go out, and we were at a bar.
First, we went to Jason Aldean's kitchen and bar, right? And that was just hanging out outside. And
that's all I wanted.
That was chill. And then they're like, "Oh, we're going to the bar," and I was like, "No. You guys got me here. Like that's as far as I'm going. I'm going back to the room." And all I needed was one person to say they weren't going.
Yeah, no one.
And I would have gone back to the room.
Right.
And I thought that what do you call it? Kim and Garrett. I thought one of them would be like, no, we're gonna go back. Mm-hmm. They didn't either,
right.
And then you didn't either. And I was like, shit. So is everyone going to the club? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, damn it. Okay, fine, let's go.
No, I went, but I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get in. I had my hat on, and I had sneakers
hat,
on,
t-shirts, sneakers.
I was like, they're not
and
gonna let me
Old
in.
Vegas. Like you couldn't get into any of the clubs dressed like that. You had to dress up to go to the club.
Well, not dress up, but you had to wear at least shoes,
nice shoes,
right?
No
and
hat,
a collar shirt, or
right, exactly.
Shirt, yeah.
And we had none of the above. It was literally t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't think we were gonna get in.
Nope.
We're like,
security
okay.
checked my ID. He didn't say anything about the
like,
hat
go
or
ahead.
the sneakers, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll stay for a little bit, and we ended
And then
up,
they played all of our jams.
Man, they were jamming hard.
So we
in
couldn't
there for
leave
us.
because it was.
Yeah, it was funny because one of Katie's, was it one or both of them?
Yeah.
They had no idea what the music was. They weren't familiar with it.
So I was like, she's either way too young, and that's why she doesn't know this. But she did keep saying that her mom didn't let her listen to certain stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so it might have been I do think she's younger than us, but I think it was also a combination of
Both.
her parents wouldn't let her listen to that, the hood rat music.
It wasn't really hood rap music.
No,
Well, I
but it
guess
was
some
like
of them
R&B, hip hop, mix.
Yeah, but we were jamming.
And then Thursday, Steve with PDS put on a great party.
Man, shouts out to Steve. They PDS knows how to party.
They do.
Because that was awesome. I'm like, man, I know UV Energize is right after next level, and we're driving and all this and that. But I'm like, I think we might at least go to the after party, of
right?
UV Energize, because they know how to party over there.
Yeah, that's true. We gotta figure that out and maybe have to stop on Tennessee.
Yeah, we went to
Tennessee on our way home.
We went to the PDS party, and it was a good time.
Yeah,
it was
awesome. A great time.
Yeah.
I mean, the view was absolutely
it was windy,
breathtaking,
as hell,
but it
was so windy
and so cold.
Yeah, well, because it was windy. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but it was a great time all around. Even APA was, we didn't know what to expect.
No.
We didn't know what the crowd was gonna look like. And
it was just such a wide mix.
Yeah.
It was people who've done trophies and awards for 20 plus years.
Right.
It was people who just bought a laser. There was students there some of the days, and that was pretty cool because Steve and his crew kind of took them in. So they were part of one of the breakfasts, and then they also actually designed like logos for APA and for the event. And you got to like vote on the logos, and one of the logos, won like $1,000 prize and an award, and so it was really cool to see like these young kids like in high school like figuring out graphic design and actually working on some skill before they even leave their high school career. So yeah, it was such a mix of everything. Not gonna lie, little back end, like Tuesday when we were setting up and I was super sick and, tired, and all the money we had spent, I was like, I kind of regretted going and signing up. But then by the end of it, I was like, okay.
Right.
It was good.
Well, again, because we're setting up and we still didn't know, we didn't know what to expect.
No.
And
we did pretty well in sales, which helped.
Crappy. So
and the sales helped, take off some of that burden of the price of the booth and travel and everything to get there. Right. So that obviously makes you feel a little bit better too when you can help relieve some of the financial burden of going to these trade shows. And ultimately it was just a great experience, hanging out with these people that you talk to all day, every day, hang out with. We had a booth next to Melody, and then Melody was next to Katie. And I think we were all kind of feeling that way, I think, on Tuesday.
Right.
Like, oh, so much work, so much money.
Right, and not knowing.
So tired.
Right.
Again, didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But getting to hang out with them, and like we teased early on, Katie is fucking funny, guys.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
She is a sweet little love muffin in the groups, right? And that's really her. Like, that's her.
Yeah.
But when and you can see it sometimes in the comments too. She's pretty funny in the comments on Facebook, but like in person, this comedic she just has this timing and this like
the delivery
dry
too. Her delivery is awesome.
Delivery that's just so good. Yeah. Like
so she's like, so what would it take you? How many days would it take you to do this? I'm like, well, if it was like 3, she's like, okay, it's not, but okay.
Yeah.
And it's just that delivery is just.
Yeah, she was good. And then, she's trying to drag me into a few more events, and we're sitting here like only APA and only Next Level. And she's like, cool. What about GPX in 3 weeks and Pinners Conference at the end of April? And me, I'm like, yeah, like it doesn't take me much to convince me on anything. Yeah. And so Sean's like,
you're
nope.
Going by yourself.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind you going by yourself.
Right.
I'm
I might.
Stop you,
I'm gonna look into it and see if it's something. It might just be attending. It might just and because we do see the value in sure if you can't get a table or if a table is not the right fit for your business, attending these things is just. It's so huge. The connection we made with Kim and Garrett and hanging out with them, the connection we made with Katie and Melody and Chance and
Chance. Chance was also another one that was real funny.
Oh my God.
He's
so
awesome.
funny. There's a story
that we're going to try to get him. We're going to get him.
We have to ask for permission.
Dark. We're going to get him on the After Dark, and we're going to try to get him to say it.
Oh,
but
freaking funny.
He's a great guy. He's awesome. And I mean,
he's awesome.
Even Steve at PDS.
Yeah.
Like, awesome.
Checking in on us every point he could. Yeah. And
awesome.
It just, you see these people online and you are drawn to them online, right? And you already become friends with them.
We're also right by Stan and Len.
Yes.
And the one laser guys over there. They're great. Everyone's great.
It really is. And so, and we got to meet, the owner of Chris, the owner of One Laser, and he's just such a great guy. Just
the guys with the maps
that
were next to us.
Laser map makers. We're going to have them on soon. I need to reach out to them. Just like that in person you cannot replace that.
Yeah.
And like, it does suck that
For
there's
sure.
so much and germs going around, because it's like,
Yeah.
you go to these events and like you're around all these people and you get all these you learn all these new things, you go to the classes, you meet all these people, you have so much fun, and then you come back and you're sick.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks that that's kind of like, you know, the little bonus that you could do without.
Right.
But, you know, and it's hard to say it when you're in the moment, but it really is worth it. Because it's like, so as someone who's sick all the time, I'm going to be sick anyway. I might as well hang out with people, be networking, have some fun. And then, I'm probably going to pay for it the week when I come home. But my kids do that to me anyway. So I might as well.
I will say I missed, and I get it, because of, you know, again, a lot of us didn't know what to expect from APA. But I do miss the laser husbands. Like, Tom wasn't there. I mean, I got to see Silos because they live in Vegas.
Right.
But
you got to see a laser husband.
But yeah. And I guess
there's a couple. Blake is a laser husband, but
he's a laser guy too.
Right.
Just like I was gonna say Garrett, but I'm like, he's a laser guy too. It's like, you know, it's not solely a laser husband.
Right.
But that's the one thing. Frank,
you're missing.
Frank didn't show up, you know, and again, I get it, because it's not like Next Level. It's like like I was telling Mark and Will,
you have to choose.
Well, because also Mark and Will were asking, more so Mark was asking, like, you know, doing all these, how does it feel? Does it still feel is it mundane, like going to the shows, or is it still? I'm like, no, it's still, you never know what to expect. I'm like, I will say Next Level does have a different feel, because it feels like almost like a family reunion. Like you expect
really
to see almost everybody there.
Right.
Where these other ones, you're like, oh, is so-and-so going? Is who's gonna go? You know, you're gonna see some people.
I bullied Kristen into Cummings due to FOMO.
Right.
There's a lot of people who had FOMO and then no longer had FOMO because they saw everyone got sick.
Right. And then there was also a lot of people who, like, I'm gonna see how it goes for them, and then I'll go to next year if this one was good. You know what I mean? Because again, no one knew what to expect.
You know, like, let's be real. Like, yes, these events can be very, very beneficial to your company and to your business and to just, I mean, your energy in general.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're expensive, so I get that.
You can't go to all of them.
You cannot physically afford to go to every single one of them most of the time, because like, even if you find good flights and a good hotel, getting there's just so many. The costs don't end there, for one, right? Because you have to get the ride to the airport, or you have to leave your car at the airport, and that was $216 when we got back to our car. So, you know, it adds up.
Well, and also if you have to, like we did and like Kim and Garrett did, if you have to shut down production
operations,
you know, then that's another cost.
True.
Because you're shutting down, and you know, you
have to hope that the orders still come in and that they're patient.
Right. Or that they'll come in as soon as you reopen. They're like, okay, they should be open now, and then you can order. But again, that's a gamble as well. So
for sure,
there's a lot that goes into, so
pros and cons.
Right. So I get not going to all of them, but definitely get out to as many as you can go. Even if it's just once, even if it's one show for the year. You're not going to regret it. It might be a hit. You might regret it when you're paying for the flight or for the hotel, or, you know, when you're on the plane, like, oh,
a little
man,
spicy in the beginning.
Right. But once you're in it and you're going through, it's going to be so worth it.
For sure.
No matter which one you go to.
I agree. Yeah. Because I feel like, again, even like the worst ones, I wouldn't say there was a bad one yet. No. But even like the worst one, like you still get something out of every single one of them.
Anytime you can hang out with a community is definitely, whether it's a meetup or an event like this, it's definitely worth it.
For sure.
You always get something out of it.
Yeah, and soon, hopefully, because we need to do it soon to figure out what the heck we're doing, we can pin down our tour dates, and maybe if you can't afford to come to Next Level, hopefully we can stop and see you on the way to Next Level, and you can get like a little mini meetup that's, you know, and we try to keep those for free. So, you know, if you can't maybe come to one of those, try and find a local meetup. And you know, we've had a meetup as small as, I think it was like 6 people in Colorado, and we still got a ton out of that. You know, there was relationships that we were able to build upon. We saw Heather. She was at APA, but she was also at one of the 6 people at the Colorado meetup.
Yeah.
And so and then there was someone there was a few people at the Cali, the Sacramento one that we saw at APA. So just do it like
just
Nike.
Just meet up. It's great. Well, with that,
I should probably rest this voice.
you should. You have a week till we do this again.
It's true.
So you should be rested up. Thank you guys for all your support. Thank you for showing out when you can. Thank you all around, and it's been another great episode of the Red Black Powers. Chris and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.